Ghost data centers. Executive summary. Ghost data centers are massive facilities that lack the electricity to operate. This crisis stems from a failure of long-term planning. Tech companies built rapidly without securing power from an aging grid. To fix this, developers must move away from crowded tech hubs. They should place AI infrastructure in regions with surplus energy. This decentralized approach utilizes stranded power and improves internet speeds. We must align digital growth with physical energy capacity. Article: The modern world lives on the internet. We stream movies and chat with friends. We use artificial intelligence to write emails. All these actions happen in the cloud. However, the cloud is not a magical place in the sky. It lives inside massive buildings called data centers. These buildings hold thousands of computer servers. These servers require immense amounts of electricity. Today, a strange phenomenon is happening in the tech world. Companies are building ghost data centers. These are massive facilities that sit empty and dark. They have the walls and the roofs. They have the cooling systems and the fiber optic cables, yet they have no power. What is a ghost data center? A ghost data center is a finished building without a pulse. Developers spend hundreds of millions of dollars on these projects. They pick a location and clear the land. They pour the concrete and install the racks. Then they call the local power company. They ask for a connection to the electrical grid. The power company gives them bad news. The grid cannot handle the load. The utility company might say the wait is 5 years. It might even be 10 years. Now the building sits idle. It becomes a giant, expensive shell. This happens because our digital dreams are moving faster than our physical wires. We want more AI and more data storage. However, we forgot that wires must carry that energy. Without electricity, these buildings are just high-tech warehouses for dust. The problem of paper data centers. There is a second type of ghost haunting the industry. These are paper data centers. These projects exist on blueprints and in press releases. Companies announce massive new campuses. They promise thousands of jobs and better internet speeds. However, these projects may never break ground. Many developers are realizing the power gap too late. They find a perfect piece of land near a major city. They buy the property and hire architects. Then, they look at the local power substation. They realize the substation is already at maximum capacity. The project stalls before the first shovel hits the dirt. These planned centers become ghosts before they are even born. They tie up land and investment money. Yet they produce nothing for the economy or the internet. A massive failure of planning. How did this happen? It seems like a simple question. Why would anyone build a data center without asking about power? This is a massive failure of long-term planning. For years, tech companies assumed power was infinite. They treated electricity like a utility that is always there. You flip a switch and the lights come on. They focused on latency, which is the speed of the data. They wanted to be near big cities like Northern Virginia or Santa Clara. Planners ignored the limits of the physical world. They focused on software and ignored the hardware of the grid. Power companies also failed to plan. They did not expect the sudden explosion of artificial intelligence. AI requires much more power than a simple Google search. One AI request can use 10 times more electricity than a standard query. The grid was built for the 20th century. It was not built for the age of AI. The question of competence. Critics ask a fair question. Why would a billion-dollar company skip the most important step? The answer lies in the land grab mentality. Companies wanted to claim territory quickly. They feared their competitors would move in first. They bought land and started building to show progress to investors. They hoped the power would show up eventually. They gambled on the future. They thought the government would force utilities to upgrade faster. They were wrong. Upgrading a power grid involves miles of new transmission lines. It requires new substations and massive transformers. These things take years to permit and build. The tech companies moved at the speed of light. The power companies move at the speed of bureaucracy. This mismatch created the ghost data center crisis, spreading the infrastructure. We need a new strategy to solve this problem. We cannot keep cramming data centers into the same 5 cities. The current hubs are full. The lights are flickering in Northern Virginia. The solution is to spread AI infrastructure across the country. We must find stranded power. This is electricity that exists in places with low demand. Think about the Midwest or the Great Plains. These areas have lots of wind and land. They have power plants that produce more energy than the local towns need. We should build data centers there. We can move the data to the power. We should stop trying to move the power to the data. This decentralized model makes the internet more resilient. If one region has a blackout, the whole system does not crash. Moving closer to the customer, spreading out also helps with performance. We call this edge computing. If a data center is in your state, your apps run faster. It reduces the distance the signal must travel. By placing centers in diverse locations, we solve 2 problems at once. We find the power we need. We also improve the user experience for everyone. This requires a change in mindset. Developers must stop looking for the most popular cities. They must look for the most powerful cities. They should talk to utility companies before they talk to real estate agents. They must treat electricity as a raw material. It is just as important as the silicon chips inside the servers. The future of the grid. The era of easy power is over. We are entering a period of energy scarcity for big tech. Ghost data centers serve as a warning. They show us that the digital world has physical limits. We cannot build a virtual future on a crumbling physical foundation. We must invest in the power grid. We need more renewable energy and better transmission lines. However, we also need smarter planning. We need to match our digital ambitions with our electrical reality. If we do not, we will continue to build monuments to bad planning. We will have a country full of expensive, dark buildings. The ghosts will continue to haunt the tech industry until we learn to respect the grid. Preventing failure. To avoid building ghost data centers, companies must change how they select sites. They need to verify physical infrastructure before they commit to a location. Here is a checklist of the essential factors for a successful data center project. 1. Power and utility verification. Grid capacity. Confirm the local substation can handle the projected megawatt load. Utility timelines. Get a written commitment for the power connection date. Dual utility feeds. Ensure power comes from 2 independent paths to prevent total blackouts. Renewable access. Check for nearby wind or solar farms to meet green energy goals. 2. Connectivity and speed. Fiber density. Identify at least 3 different fiber optic providers in the area. Path diversity. Ensure cables enter the building from different physical directions. Carrier neutrality. Choose sites that allow any internet provider to connect. Latency testing. Measure the round-trip time for data to reach major customer hubs. 3. Environmental and physical safety. Climate advantage. Favor cooler climates to reduce the cost of cooling servers. Water availability. Ensure enough water exists for liquid cooling systems. Disaster risk. Check flood maps and seismic zones to avoid high-risk areas. Neighbor assessment. Avoid sites near airports, chemical plants, or other high-risk neighbors. 4. Regulatory and business health. Factor. Requirement. Zoning. Confirm the land is legally approved for industrial data use. Permitting. Research local government speed for building and environmental permits. Tax incentives. Look for states offering rebates on electricity or equipment. Talent pool. Verify that skilled technicians and engineers live nearby.